All right, we're back. It's another week, another pizza. You know how the pizza game goes, Critic game. Today we got a cheap one again. We're going with Jack's. Jack's, sorry. Jack's Ultra Thin, preservative free cheese pizza. So, not four cheese, just cheese. Who knows? Uh, the serving size, it says new and improved, so we'll see what it tastes. It tastes better than old. I'm not sure what the old one tastes like since 1960. So a couple things. This one was less than $3. A fantastic deal. And
Very
two
cheap.
something. Incredible deal. And it's this size. This is a good indication of how big the pizza was. It comes in that super cheap packaging, which is to say it's only on a piece of cardboard with plastic over it. But again, you get what you pay for, and I don't care about the cardboard box. It takes up room in my freezer. So a good thing I want to say about this is, in addition to being an incredible value, and you can grill it. It says, and we have it in the oven right now baking. Its serving size is 1/3 of the pizza. So since it's thin crust, they expect you to eat a lot of this, and it's only 320 calories. So really not bad as far as pizza goes. That's because it's a very thin crust.
Yeah, if you guys remember the home run, I believe the home run in
they
personal
can't remember because
pizza.
that episode never happened. So yeah, this thing's in the oven, and we're gonna go see what it looks like, smells like, and tastes like once it's out. Alright, we just got this pop out of the oven, and the one good thing I can say immediately about it is that it sounded real crunchy when I pushed it off the rack. This was one of those classic bake direct on the rack. So we're gonna look at the texture. So sure enough, it does look very crispy. You got the brownness all around the side. They weren't lying when they said thin crust, but I mean I've seen thinner, which is good. So I can't really fault it. I like a thick crust, but it's marketed as thin crust. I can't fault it for that. The cheese on the picture was kind of bubbly and brown, so I was kind of surprised when this didn't quite do that, except for around the edges. But I mean, once again, you get what you pay for, I suppose. But it looks like there's a nice amount of cheese, which is nice, and it does look like there's a nice amount of sauce. I can see it peeking underneath. It all looks kind of a little flat and fake. What do you think?
What's interesting is I agree. There seems to be a lot of cheese and sauce. I don't know where they put it on this tiny pizza. Another thing
Yeah.
is that it's wavy. This is something I've noticed with
Frozen
thin
pizzas.
crust frozen pizzas. I don't know if that's part of the freezing process.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna affect taste.
That'd
It
be
does
my
affect
guess.
the texture. I do like this part here where the cheese is.
Yeah,
kind
that
of
looks
around.
good.
That is like the highest marks. The waviness, lowest mark. So we'll see.
Overall, I'm gonna say this is. This is like 2.5 rolls of bread for me. There are some things that surprise me, and there's some things that underwhelm me.
I'm also gonna give this 2.5. Like I'll definitely eat this. I'm not looking at it saying it's gross, but it's not like the most enticing thing I've ever seen.
Right. Okay, you know what's next. Smell. We're gonna give this a whiff. Pretty self-explanatory, and see what we think. Okay, smells like a pizza. That's the one thing I'm gonna say. Nothing's overwhelming me, which is good. It seems like there's a nice even mixture of flavors, but nothing's overwhelming me because of quality either, which is kind of a shame. As I go around, you get a little bit of different smells. The saucy one seemed to be the best one, but overall it just seems kind of like processed crispy cheese, and there's really nothing to be desired here. Me and Evan were remarking when I was baking it that the room wasn't filling up with an aroma that pleases us. These are subpar smells for me. 2.5 out of 5 noses.
It's interesting.
I'm sorry, 2 out of 5 noses.
Yeah, when you initially smell it, I found I smelled what I was over. So my nose was over the cheese. I got cheese, and I was over this little sauce, bubble sauce, when I was near the crust.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't think any of them smelled that bad. Once again, not great.
Well, neither do I. That's why I give it a 2 out of 5. I would have given it less if it was unpleasant. It's just not particularly pleasant.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Actually, I think it's perfectly serviceable smell.
That's fair. Let's cut this up and get it in our stomachs. Alright, it's the moment of truth, guys. You know how this goes. We're gonna bite it and see how it tastes. A lot of sauce, like I thought, like I'd hoped, which was what it looked like before I baked it, the frozen one. The crust is really non-existent in flavor. It just kind of is there to service, to hold and service the palate of of the sauce and the cheese. And
Hmm.
well,
Did you think this tasted much different than it smelled? I was like,
yeah, it's pretty
I was
good.
very surprised at the difference.
Well, the cheese leaves something to be desired. The sauce has a sort of nice sweetness when you first bite into it, and a sort of savoriness that lingers in your mouth. My guess is a lot of times when pizza companies say new and improved flavors, it's because they upgrade the sauce. This I can totally see that as being a possibility. What do you think?
I'm gonna agree with you that the sauce is the best part. I don't think the cheese is that bad. I think it's actually doing a really good job as a supporting player. So what happens is you bite into it when it's this thin, the sauce is what hits your tongue 1st, and then you hit up and you follow with the cheese, which is a little bit salty to play against sweetness. So I think the cheese was doing a really interesting job. This is actually not too bad. The main thing is that the crust is basically cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
Crust is bringing down a pretty good combination on top.
For me, I don't mind the crust until the actual end of it because it just doesn't taste like anything. But yeah, it definitely marks against in the sense that a pizza should have all 3 flavors working for it. I think this might be really good with some good toppings.
Yeah.
Overall, for the value, it's really good. Less than $3, pretty decent sized pizza. I'm gonna have to give this a solid 4 out of 5. Hot wet mouth.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just really surprised. It looked fine. Didn't smell great, but that was a pretty solid taste. I mean, for cheap pizza, I agree with John. You put some red pepper flakes on this, a little bit of Parmesan. Perfectly serviceable meal. I'm also going to agree. 4 out of 5. Hot wet mouth.
Yeah, so we both agreed that it looked pretty average, 2.5 out of 5 each. Neither of us particularly liked the smell. Evan gave it a 2.5. I gave it a 2. But we both agreed the flavor is pretty damn good for what the price was. 4 out of 5 both. Overall, that's a solid 2.75-ish on the scale. No, that's not true. That's like a 3.
Yeah, it's rounded up to 3.
It's rounded up to a 3. 3 out of 5 on the scale. Really not a bad pizza for your value. Probably even closer to a 4 when you think about how cheap it really is. I suggest if you are in the market for a quick, tasty snack, Jack's Ultra Thin Pizza, you can go a lot worse.